Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Um, this is House of Africa with different organizations today. We've got a number of panelists, people from different areas, from Canada, Nigeria, UK, South Africa. So, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about leadership, the importance of leadership in our communities and what must be done to transform our mindsets and also to uproot things like corruption, especially in developing, communities. We'll be talking about, what is the Africa that we want? How can we make things, practical and stuff so we can move Africa forward? Because Africa is a giant. We've got, a lot of resources and stuff we can do, better and utilize, our resources accordingly. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And our panelists, they've got a lot to say. Um, Hopefully they'll unpack everything, what they have, in store for us. Uh, Before we dive into the main topic, I would like, you know, um, everybody to just introduce yourselves, who you are, what you do, and the organizations that you represent. And also, you can, tell people about your social handles and stuff so they can follow you. Um, yes, over to you, Busiko. Ladies first.
Right. So my name is Busigu Michelo. I'm based in the UK. I currently work in a hospital laboratory in the virology laboratory. I'm a trainee biomedical scientist working towards her registration. And my handle on Facebook is Busigu Michelo, which is the same as on Twitter.
Okay. Over to you, Guidance. Mtwanzi.
Okay,
Dr.
thank
Mtwanzi.
you. Thank you, Kaiser. My name is Guidance Mtwazi, and I'm a doctoral research fellow at the UCT, University of Cape Town. And my research area is on, information systems. But then currently I am undertaking a study on electronic governance and its influences on public service delivery. Yeah, thank you. Over to you, Dr. Zima.
Thank you.
Good,
Thank you
good
very much.
evening. Good evening. My name is Tivan Zima. I'm a lecturer in sociology at the University of the Free State in the Department of Sociology.
Thank you. If there are other people that are, yeah, I've been told that there's something noise. Anyway, it's gone. It's gone quiet. It's gone. I think it's gone now. There's just a little bit of noise, but I don't think it's gonna be distract us anyways. Over to you, Tim Bello. Yeah, I can hear it as well. I don't know why.
O-
It looks like
Okay, good
there's
evening.
someone working. Yeah.
Okay, am I good to go?
Yes. Is there someone in the
All right,
kitchen or
good evening.
something?
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's
Go
not
go
from
ahead.
here.
Go ahead, Bello. Tim Bello.
Okay, good evening. My name is Time Bello. I am a filmmaker, I'm a poet, I'm a writer, and I believe in using my work to change my society positively. And I've been doing that for quite a lot of time now. I have a show called The Nigerian that I used to do where I try to sensitize Nigerians about how we need to come together as a people and love our country. Thank you. And my handle, I have Time Niger on Instagram. That's at Time Niger. That's where most of my works are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Adiola.
Hi, thank you, guys. My name is Adiola Kintoye. I'm an accountant by profession and a finance director at one of the biggest charity. I'm also the CEO of We Can Leadership Institute, where I mentor, equip, and activate young Africans in leadership, specifically servant leadership. And I'm also a minister of the gospel as well, which is quite obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Thank you. Over to you, Sikael. Sikael. Yeah, still, yeah, unmute yourself. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Uh, my name is Skyre. I'm from Zambia, and I'm a political scientist by profession, and I'm also a good governance and human rights activist for Amnesty International in Africa. Yeah, I think that's what I can say for now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, beautiful people. Thank you so much, beautiful people. So yeah, before we go deep into yeah, that deep end, just in your own words, like which I would like, everybody just to summarize what do they understand when about, leadership, um, in your own words, what is the, definition of leadership and stuff. And we'll start with our beautiful lady, Wusiko. What leadership? What does leadership mean to you?
Right. To me, leadership means someone who's able to inspire those he leads, or yeah, those that are led by that person. Someone who is able to raise the bar from their predecessors and also lay the foundation for future generations, and also
Hmm.
someone who works for the greater good of those that they lead. So service. So leadership also includes service to those people that one leads.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then over to you, guidance, Mtwanzi, Dr. Mtwanzi. What is leadership in your own words?
Okay, thank you, Kaiser. Um, well, for me, leadership is a very broad concept, but then in definition, usually I usually like to first deconstruct a concept in order to fairly understand what it is, because I think that we have a tendency of falling into the trap of just attaching meaning to concepts as we understand them, but then maybe the best way of defining something at some point is to know what it is not. So at this point in time, I would like to look at leadership from a negated point of view, that perhaps when we're speaking about leadership, we are not talking about this and we are not talking about that. This is going to be a bit broader when we go into the discussion, but for now, I'll just say maybe the biggest misconception about leadership is that leaders are people in the forefront. Well, we may argue about that, but then I think the most important point to make for me for now is to say that for me, leaders are doers and not necessarily leaders as we understand them, which are people who are in the forefront of everything. Leaders are doers and they are not emulators. So in this case, I mean to say, when we are talking about leaders, we are talking about people who lead by example. We are not talking about people who tell their followers or those that they lead what to do. So in a nutshell, yeah, I would say that leaders are doers and not emulators. And then there are also people who leave a legacy, whose work can be replicated by future generations to come, in the space of improving the lives of the people they lead.
Of people.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone using two devices? I can hear myself. If there's somebody using two devices, let's just use one. Yeah, over to you, Timibelo. What is leadership in your own words?
Well, leadership to me is sacrifice. It's whether at any level you find yourself, whether it's at the family level, community level, or national level. To me, leadership is all about sacrifice, where you can be able to sacrifice for your people and abandon your own interests. That's the most important thing, because as a leader, you have things you want to do on your own. But then the well-being of your people comes first. So you have to be able to sacrifice your own interest for your people. So whether you are a king, whether you are anywhere you find yourself, the moment you know that you can sacrifice for your people, you can go any length for the well-being of your people, that shows that you are a leader, that your ability to be able to think about others before you. That is what I understand, about leadership in a nutshell.
Thank you. Over to you, Sikyle. What is leadership in your own words, sir?
Thank you so much. I would say, first of all, leadership is an action of leading a group or an organization. And in a broader way, I would say, because it's an action of leading a group or an organization. Now, here we can go further to say leadership, it can be positive or negative. Because even a labor group is always led by, they have a leader, and that labor group can be there maybe to kill people. So for me, I put it further into two different categories, positive and negative. So in simplicity, I can just say it's an action of leading a group of people or an organization. And I think later on we can discuss what kind of leadership do we have here and there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Over to you, Adiola.
Okay, thank you very much. For me, leadership depends on the lens from which one is looking at it from. So, if I were to define it, I would define leadership as a multi-dimensional process that involves multiple actors to effect change. So within that definition, that you have the leader, the person, you have followers, and you have the influence between both of them. And so there is a relationship, and there is also a process as well, because it's not, leadership is not just a one-off thing. It's a continuous relationship between the person that is leading and the followers. And also, to just say that as well, the person leading can be assigned, because they have a position, so they have that legitimacy, or they can be, an expert. We've seen that in COVID-19, or they can be referential because of, maybe like traditional leaders, religious leaders, as an example. And you also have emerged leaders, so leaders who are not in a position of authority. They might not even have expertise or be referential, but they just step out. And we've seen that especially in some of the protests that's happened in Africa. You see somebody just emerge as a leader because they step out, and people started following them. They become the
Mhm.
leader in that perspective. And so and the followers as well is important, because if the leader and the follower do not have goals, even our
Mm.
political leaders, there is a goal that we're expecting them to achieve. So that is the basis of influence between the leader and the follower. So
The
all that
followers.
for me is leadership. It's not
Hmm.
just one person
So,
or a situation. Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Over to you, Dr. Nzima. What is
Thank you,
lead?
Kes.
Yeah.
I don't want to be referred to as Dr. Nzima today, because it will create an expectation that I've got some knowledge that supersedes and is, you know, above board. But
Mm.
I'm just today another African youth participating amongst some people who have got, more knowledge than I do, and others whom are my peers. So in my very maybe limited understanding, I'll say leadership is has to do with someone being ahead of the pack, or leading, or in front of everyone, or ahead of everyone. But that does not mean that person who is ahead of everyone therefore is
Mm.
better or greater than those that are behind that person. But what it
Mm.
means is that that particular person has been chosen or appointed by those that he leads, or those that are being led, to have a mandate and to be responsible for them. And that person who is said to be a leader is a person whose task is to manage community resources and systems on behalf of others.
Mm.
So that person derives their power, authority from the people that they lead. So without the people that they lead, they do not have that authority. Therefore, the person who is seen as a leader, or said to be a leader, is actually a servant of the community, or a servant of a particular group, from whom their authority to lead is derived from. So that is what leadership is. And these people who serve the communities have to be rewarded. Now, it is in this reward where you now have a bad leader or a good leader, based on the kind of reward that they want. Some of these rewards must be rewards that flow freely to them, but the problem comes when now they want to force these rewards to come to them, therefore end up abusing the authority that they've been given, because they believe that they're entitled to certain rewards. So that is how I understand leadership in the most slim way. Thank you.
Thank you, beautiful people. Um, I think in summary, what I picked up is that our leadership is dynamic, and also when it comes to leadership, it's not just about the position that you occupy only. It's it's like it's the whole cycle. It's you know uh, it's more than that. So when you occupy the position, you also have to be accepted by the people that that are following you. That acceptancy, defining your goals, as Adiola said, or defining the vision. to the people that you're leading, and it's not limited to politics. It can be anything like organizational or businesses, institutions, and stuff, etc. So people have to understand your goals and your vision, and they have to buy into it, and you don't force things into them. And then after that, I think somebody said about demonstrating things, which is production. So you have to also demonstrate that you can do things, you know, uh, so that the followers that are following you understand that, yes, you know what, our leader understand things. He can also perform, execute, and be productive and stuff. So those are the stages of leadership, and then from there you don't stop there. As Sister Adiola, I think I mentioned, that it's a continuous thing. um Developing even your followers, understanding their weaknesses and strength, and try to develop them so they can be better. um and then after developing them, you also go to the final stages. It could be like the pinnacle stage, where you also want to create leaders, because as they say, there's no success without a successor. I think Dr. Mtwanzi spoke about legacy. So you want someone to emulate it, to repeat what you've done. So that's the pinnacle stage, where you also produce other leaders that will do the same thing for that vision to last longer and stuff, and from generation to generations. I think that's what I got. And it's not limited to politics. It's just dynamics. Thank you for that, beautiful people. Thank you for that. So yeah, now we're gonna be intentional um as we define leadership, and I believe that everything falls on leadership, as you guys gave some good definitions and stuff. um Now we're talking about developing nations. We're all Africans and stuff, and we want the best for Africa, because we've said it time and again that we've got more than enough resources to make it a beautiful place and to become a giant and stuff. So what I'm gonna ask from you guys, maybe I'm not gonna ask all of you and stuff for the sake of time. Uh, this question is: what is the Africa that we want? What is the Africa that we want as Africans? Um, so yes, unfortunately, Busiko, I'm gonna go to you again. What is the Africa that you want?
The Africa that we want. We want to see development in our communities and obviously the whole country. We want to see improvement in like public services, transport services, healthcare, education. We want to be able to compete on a global scale and not be seen as like the begging continent, because we have so much to offer as Africa. If we can only just realize and have that confidence within us and to work together and put our minds together, I think we can be able to do it. To rise on a global scale. So we want to see a better Africa for all and improved
Mm-hmm.
lives for all, and working towards eradicating poverty as well, because we have the resources.
Mm-hmm. I think one of our panelists rephrased it. Thank you. What do we want to see in Africa? Or what is the Africa that we want? That's Adiola. Um, so thank you for that, Fusiko. So we go to Mtwanzi. What is the Africa that you want, or that we want, or what do you want to see in Africa?
Okay, thanks, Kaiser. I don't want to be coming from a negative point of view, but then
Mm-hmm.
for the lack of a view, I'll come from that view. I think there are many things that are currently wrong with Africa. To start with, we have a challenge of identity. You know, so much that we have projected unwanted behavior onto ourselves and unwanted lifestyles onto ourselves, just because maybe for the longest time we've been segregated from the rest of the world, and we've been prejudiced, and we've been called this and that, and our history has been tainted. So there are so many things that are currently going on with Africa, where we can start the discussion from. But perhaps the most important thing amongst those is, who are we as Africans? Now, this is also a complex question, because where do we start? Do we start? To look at the lives of Africans just before colonization? Or do we look at the Africans, well, in the case of Southern Africa, do we look at the San and the Khoi kind of life? Do we look at Africans who have come out of, this colonial rule, and who are now calling themselves the radicals or the free thinkers? Where do we start to say this was the right African, or this was the correct way Africans should be living, in order to say, okay, now that we have a starting point, maybe let us build from that. So what this essentially means is that whatever we have right now does not favor Africans so much. The systems that we have in place, the education that we have, the lifestyle that we have, it does not favor who we really are as Africans. So we are picking bits and pieces from here and there as a matter of, or as a result of who colonized us, or as a result of who influenced our our economies and stuff like that, or as a result of who has invested in our country. You see, so I think there are a lot of things, but then maybe we are going to try and pick them one by one. But for me, the biggest problem that we have in Africa are the systems in place. All these systems that we have in place, from the electoral systems, the family unit, going down to even the lifestyles, they are foreign. They do not belong to us per se. So maybe the first port of call would be, what kind of Africa were we before we inherited these foreign systems? And then maybe we can start from there. So the point of this argument is, maybe we have to dismantle the systems that be at the moment, and then we formulate our own systems that are going to favor our own culture and traditions, as well as the lifestyles that would empower the African child. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Over to you, Time. What is the Africa we want, sir?
Okay. Well, I don't know. The Africa that I want to see is not possible right now. Following what Guidance just said, the Africa where we are seen as one, where we care for each other's well-being, our communities, our countries, states, and all of that. But the system, like you said, that we have in place is not working. And I dare say that democracy has failed Africa. And I don't know, not to sound, I don't want to offend anybody's sensitivity, but I'll also say that religion has also failed Africa. Because the thing is, what we know of Africa has always been that we are a community. We loved each other. We cared for each other. And in the days of apartheid, we saw how the rest of Africa stood, for South Africa, fought for the apartheid, regime and all of that. But I don't think we do that anymore for any other African country, because right now we are relinquishing our powers to the foreigners, to the Western world. There's so much so, instead of coming together as Africans, we are always competing. We want to say Liberians are the best Africans, South Africans are better than Nigerians, Ghanaians are this and all of that. So right now, what we do as Africans is that we compete amongst each other. So the Africa that I want to see is where everyone believes in the continent, believes in the promise that the continent holds, where everyone, irrespective of your religion, your culture, we are seen as humans first. Because to some Africans now, there are no other religion in Africa except Christianity or except Islam. Now, where we know that there are several other religion in Africa that people practice. So we have been able to now divide Africa towards these lines, religious, ethnicity, and tribal leanings. And except and until something is done about that, we will not, and we may not be able to get the kind of Africa where the well-being and welfare of every African is what is important. Right now, that identity crisis is also one of our major problems. What is, I don't want to say who now, what is an African? Because sometimes, people want to argue that an African is, somebody from Africa and all of that. An African is supposed to be human. Now, but when you look around, some of the things that have been happening around African countries and all of that, and you want to see them and believe that these are Africans too. But the things that are happening, take for example, the riots that happened in South Africa, where businesses owned by South Africans were looted by South Africans. And you want to imagine that if African is supposed to be human, then where is our humanity? So I look at all these things and I'm hopeful for Africa, but we need to dismantle the system, like Guardian said. We need to look at ourselves and determine what we want to see, how we want to develop as Africans, so that we create a system that will carry everybody along, irrespective of your political, religious, or tribal leanings. So that is the kind of Africa that I look forward to, if that is possible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think you highlighted a good point there, that you wanted Africa where all of us will be able to collaborate, be together and stuff, regardless of what you subscribe to or religion and stuff, whether you're Christian or a Muslim and stuff. We have to think outside the box, and think it's about transformation of our mindsets, because as human beings we're all the same, we're all equal. We shouldn't be dividing uh, each other because I'm a Muslim or I'm a Christian, or you know and all these small pockets or segments, like we divide each other because I speak French or I speak English, because I'm come from this tribe, whatnot. And the things that we see, things that destroyed a country like Rwanda, it was about tribalism and stuff and all that. Thank God they overcame it, and they're a good example now. I think they're now classed as a first world country because they saw the problems and they resolved those problems. So that's the Africa. I think, yeah, that's what the Africa where everybody will have that opportunity, or we will be able to you know um, be together and you know without any prejudice or whatsoever. Um, thank you for that. Um, over to you, Sikai. In short terms, what is the Africa that we want?
Yeah, thank you so much. When we talk about Africa, actually, that's a very interesting question that personally, I would say for about 7 years in my activism as a good governance and human rights, I've been trying to address each and every day. Um, First and foremost, personally, one thing that I've always wanted to see is that to have an Africa which is self-reliance, where we can depend on our own stuffs, our own resources as a continent. As you all know, that today Africa, we are like we are beggars, without beating around the bush. Every time something happens in Africa, we are expecting someone to solve the problems for us. But when you look at the whole history of Africa, when we were getting independence, in different years. Let's say, for example, Zambia, 1964, we got independence, and the objective of our forefathers was that Zambia should be free. We should be able to make our own decisions. But now, when you look at it from that time, there's been a lot of things that has happened in Zambia that has really shown that it's like we have been failing to manage ourselves. Now, the Africa that I look forward as a youth is that Africa that is going to utilize its own resources, do a lot of things, solve a lot of problems that affect Africans, other than just every time of sitting that someone is going to do this for us. I've always argued like this. Like in my country, we have had in the previous years, like the previous 7 years, we have had problems with the outgoing government, where sometimes, like when the international community, they are trying to come in to talk about the injustice that has been going on, and our colleagues from the outgoing government would say, no, we are a sovereignty state. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you are a beggar, as long as you are a beggar, expect it to be controlled, expect to be told what to do. And I've always told them, there's a lot of things that today we can talk about Africa. We can talk about sometimes what our leaders, would talk about. That for the sake of sensitivity, I wouldn't want to discuss them here. But the fact of the matter, Africa that I look forward is the Africa where we are going to utilize our resources. Can you just imagine, like Zambia in the 2006-2008, we were the largest producer of copper, and the copper went outside Zambia, made a couple number of different products. Sometimes maybe Africa, we give out gold, it's processed, and when it's come back, they make maybe vehicles. How many of our people are able to buy those vehicles? You find only few, and those will be corrupt politicians in Africa. Sometimes I ask myself as a youth, they say, what do our leaders think or do when they go for the meetings? Because you talk about China. China has invaded Africa. China is controlling Africa. As far as we are concerned, China has done a lot of technology in their countries, but we haven't seen any brave leader in Africa who have challenged China to say, if you want to invest in my country, can you set up a plant here? Even just for assembly, simple bicycles, simple motorbike. So we need the mindset that will think African first, because every country today is thinking about its own citizen. So there is no way that we can be watching our resources going outside Africa, being rated as the most country the most country that depends on borrowing and on aid, donor support. Yet we are the one who have got all the resources. We are not talking out of the blues. These are things that can be verified. Most of the resources that we have, they're coming from outside, from Africa. That has changed the world. So I'm just focusing on an Africa whereby we're going to depend on ourselves. We are going to stop being beggars. And when we stop being beggars, we are going to get our respect that we deserve. Believe you me, as long as we are going to be beggars, we are not going to be respected. No matter we are going to say, no, we demand for our rights. Our rights will come when we are able to work within our resources, when we are not going to bow before America to say, no, we are asking for this aid. Look at a very good example. It's the issue of COVID-19. Africa went quiet. We are privileged. We have Busiku here, who's from the laboratory, and I'll be also very interested to hear what the idea that she would love to take back to Zambia. Because Africa went quiet up to date. Africa is still waiting for Western countries to send the vaccine. Yet we have got doctors. Where are we failing? Some of the doctors that are doing all these, that are doing all these discoveries, all this research, they are from Africa. So what's the problem? Because we have got greedy leaders who doesn't want to build Africa. They want to build the Western world. So I think that's what I can say over that one.
Thank you for that. We got your point. That we've got more than enough resources, so now we should start thinking about, producing final products rather than, selling our resources to all these countries that are going to make a lot of profits and stuff. And you mentioned a lot of, examples and stuff. And for another example, I think it's Ghana. I think, that's Ghana. I think it's Ghana in Cote d'Ivoire. They, they are the main producers of coca beans, and that's $100 billion industry. But they sell the raw materials, and out of that $100 billion, they only get less percentage, and all the profits they go to the European countries and stuff. And yeah, we got your point. Even like all these, digital gadgets, like mobile phones and stuff, those resources they get them from, countries like Congo and stuff. And so yeah, thank you for that. Over to you, Adiola.
Sorry, I keep muting. I would just like to address a couple of points. We're talking about leadership. Leadership is not any particular thing. There are leadership in religion. There are leadership in politics. There are leadership in traditional our cultures. So I think since the topic of today is leadership, one of the things that I wish we would do more is to look forward. We've got a generation of children being born now that their own perspective is going to be so different. We can't, they won't even remember what happened 10, 20, 30 years ago. And as such, what are we going to lay for them now for the future that we want to see for Africa, right? If we look at the history of Africa and we want to talk about colonialization, who were the people that sold the Africans, their brothers? It was Africa, the Africans themselves, that enabled slavery to happen. Who are the people that are selling our resources now to, whether it's to China or to Russia or to India or America? It's the Africans, the leaders, right? So irrespective of how we feel about what the West, what colonial master has done and everything, it still takes an African to let this happen. So, the aspect of, addressing leadership, I keep referring to the story of Botswana. I don't know if we know the history of how they escaped being colonialized. because they had 3 tribal leaders that were ready to fight for that country and they were ready to start influencing. They came to the UK to influence the Queen and all the other, House of Parliament, etc., etc. And that is one of the reasons why Botswana is where it is today. Now we can give examples and examples and examples. It still boils down to what the leaders allow. And so we need to start asking ourselves, what type of leaders do we keep putting in place? Is this because of our traditions? I don't believe. I think sometimes we generalize about Africa. Each part of element of Africa, whether it's Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, we are different. We are different. We've got, our ethnicity, our diversity, and all that is different. Yes, we might occupy the space called Africa, but there's still differences. And I don't believe that we've done away with our traditions and culture. Yesterday, they just installed a king in Warri, in Plateau, in where's this place? Port Harcourt, in Nigeria. Delta State. That is a part of our tradition. We've got so many kings in and they still go through those traditional process. I met my grandfather, who was an herbalist. That is tradition. So I don't believe that the tradition and the culture that we have in Africa has been done away with by this, whoever, I wasn't even here then. I don't care about all those, slave traders, because those things keeps us in bondage. Anytime I read the history of Africa, and it depends on who wrote the history. The British have their own, the African authors have their own. It makes me so angry, and angry from the perspective of, the Africans themselves, as well as the colonial master. But do I want to stay in that anger? Till when? I can't stay in that anger. And I think, one of the things I really wish the now generation would do is to say, yes, the past is past. What are we learning from the past that we are going to, do away with or bring along with us to change the future that we want to see for Africa, and start putting things right? It's not going to be anybody that is going to come and help us do it. And I like what Sikali has said, when Zambian stands up, to demand their right from their leaders. But before that, they have to go out and vote. Why are the young people not going out to vote? We've got a youth bulge in Africa. Yes, we know there are systems and processes. So I believe that there is hope for Africa, and we can never give up that hope. It might not happen in my lifetime, and I hope it does, but I believe there is hope. But it will depend on me, it will depend on you, it will depend on everybody saying enough is enough. And let's not keep putting our mindset in a space where it's all, it's preventing us from moving forward. And well done to Zambia. Totally loved what happened. Let me stop here.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna quickly go to Nzima. Nzima, what is the Africa that we want in
so many interesting ideas have come up, and suggestions and observations. I like the flow of the discussion. From where Busiko started, we want all these things: clean water, sanitation, we want good roads and all of those. Those are hygiene factors, those have to be there, no matter what. I mean, at this stage, with African countries having been independent this long, we shouldn't be talking about those things. Those things should be the first things that come, and we don't have to discuss potholes and all of that. you know. But now is
mm,
how do we get there? You see, I want an Africa that will understand the power in collective bargaining. I want to see an Africa that has got tangible what you call regional integration that integrates the people of Africa, not just having protocols to say we can trade free movement of goods, but without the free movement of people and all of that. I want an
mm,
Africa that will realize that we are one of the biggest markets in the
mm,
world.
mm,
We can do business in Africa and actually succeed. What use is it to have small countries in Africa now where you start a business and there are so many trade barriers where you can't expand from the market within your country, because if now you have to go and trade with another country that is next door, there are so many laws and regulations that will stop you. Why must we be having truck drivers spending 2 weeks at Baybridge border post, and then from there they go and spend another 2 weeks in Chirundu? No, we want an Africa that is going to be integrated, one continent that is open to everyone. If we cannot achieve that, at least let's not have 54 countries like we do now. I mean, why can't we have maybe five? SADC can be a country, ECOWAS can be a country. And instead of having these so many 54 presidents who can be summoned by France to go to a summit, who can be summoned by India sometimes even to go to Africa-India summit. What is that? And you have a country that will at some point not have a single president in the country because they've been summoned by the US to go to New York for
for
an Africa
pictures.
investment,
Go and get
So
the
now
pictures.
the problem that we have, I've heard the discussion going back and forth, about whether we look at prehistoric, or I don't want to say prehistoric, pre-colonial Africa, colonial Africa, post-colonial Africa. The thing is, we have had imposters, and we thought those people were leaders in every turn. Like Ediola said, that slavery was enabled by Africans. We had people who were imposters, people who did not serve the interest of the masses, people who abused the mandate or the authority that they were given to lead, and then sought to extort some rewards from society by actually putting us at a back footing as a continent. But now we have seen all these challenges of the past. We are here now. Why are we still in bondage to want to use other people's culture and systems and worldviews to actually get development as we see it? Why can't we have our own structure as Africans? I've spoken before and said, if you go to Japan, you'll see modernity, but it is Japanese modernity. If you go to China, you'll see modernity, but it is Chinese modernity. Where is African modernity? Why do we want to look like others? Why can't we have our own systems?
Mm,
Why can't we first, before inviting so-called foreign direct investment and investors, why can't we make the environment conducive for us to invest in our villages, in our towns, and across the continent? Why do we worship colonial borders so much, such that we can even waste time queuing just so that you can get a clearance of a paper to go to Zambia? How
mm,
many times do I have to be cleared? I clear myself in Bedbridge, I clear in Kirundo, I go and clear also when I'm crossing to DRC. All of that time wasted that we could be using in production. So I actually want to see an Africa that is integrated, an Africa that can trade as one, as
mm,
opposed
mm.
to what we are right now.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're advocating in Africa without borders and stuff and all that, and I think yes, that will be more beneficial because that will reduce a lot of costs. Will save a lot of money by doing that. Even building road, transport on road networks and stuff, or even railway, it's gonna, be cheaper and stuff, and will benefit more. Like you guys said, you spoke about China, you spoke about what's another country, America. They're taking advantage of, their population and stuff, and um, also, China is taking advantage of its population to achieve more and stuff. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Um, yes, we've been talking about leadership. This is not something new, to be honest. I think even our, leaders or elders, you know, they spoke about it, or even current leaders, they've been talking about it and stuff. And what is leadership? This and that. What is effective leadership? And if you had to take all of them, or even all of us, to an exam, who pass that exam A plus, because we know what is leadership and stuff. But now things haven't been happening. We're still, going in circles and stuff, in Africa, because of so many things and stuff, and corruption, whatnot. There's all sorts. So now my question is, how can we make these things practical, especially young people? You know, it hasn't been working. We know what we want. We really know what we want. We want to move forward. Okay, Sikyle has raised his hand.
All right. I think I'm ready to answer the question as quickly as possible. Yeah.
There's this noise. I don't know where it's coming from. It's getting worse.
For me, how we can rephrase the question again, please?
Rephrase the question. Yeah, that these things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Leadership. These things we've been speaking about them for a long time now. A long time. I don't know, 100 years or whatsoever. But nothing has been happening. We haven't been moving forward. All of us, if we had to be taken to an exam, we'll pass that exam.
Yeah.
So I think it's all theory, at the moment. Yes, we've got a good example, like, Rwanda. They've turned that theory into, practice. So they're more practical. That's why, they're now recognized as a first world country. But it's not happening across Africa. So my question is, what can we do, especially as like young people, to make these things more practical, to
Thank
really
you.
push, and make
you.
things happen?
I think when I look at the history of Africa, we have been very lazy in terms of accountability, holding our leaders accountable. Or what we see every time we elect leaders in different positions, we start worshiping them, which is not right. Because when you look at, I'll refer to Zambia. What the constitution of Zambia says, that our leaders are answerable to we the citizens, to we the voters, and the general public. Now, how can we achieve that? It's when we have that mindset where we need to keep an eye on governance issues. Because I've seen, like, of late, you can go, even in higher learning institutions, ask a doctor, ask a professor. Some of them, they have got no clue about governance issues. Yet, our politics, like in Zambia of late, it has been invaded by people who doesn't even understand any single policy. Now, I've been writing, in one of my writings, I've always told, like, lecturers from the University of Zambia, Copperbelt University, and colleges, say, look, you people, the people who are making policies for you, they don't even understand what they are talking about. Yet you call yourself, you are non-partisan in national issues. So what am I trying to say, especially to young people? And what was my message as we went into the just ended elections in Zambia to the young people? I told them that if we do not pay attention to this country, the next thing that this regime would do is to start selling us for the second time. Will be sold as slaves, because our resources have already gone. The next thing that they are going to do is to start exchanging with the citizens of Zambia to the highest bidders. And thank God that young people in Zambia, they felt it. this time around. And the young people in Zambia, they came back to their senses. You know that the people who determined to remove the outgoing regime, it's the women and young people. Believe you me, we had graduates putting on a gown, going on a queue to show the outgoing government that they are not happy, because others have been staying outside the university for 5 years without jobs. You are not employed. Everything was, you can imagine a government that wakes up, $17 million goes missing, and there's no one to account for that. And they will expect you, the citizen, to take it normal. When you look at the 17 million, like those are some of the scandals that made the Zambian, the outgoing government in Zambia to be voted out. In case maybe we'd love other African leaders to know why we voted out the PF government in Zambia. We had the scandals where $17 million goes missing. The population of Zambia is about almost 18 million. So you can tell there from that they were able to steal money. That is, if you wanted, everyone would have gotten a pension of $1 million each. Every Zambian would have gone away with $1 million, but that money went into an individual, because we don't invest in accountability as citizens. And if we do not pay particular attention to problems that Africa goes through, we say we are non-partisan. We are going to be in trouble forever. But every time we pay particular attention to governance issues, we are going to sort out the problem. Believe you me, like what we have done in Zambia, we just hope other countries, especially, all over Africa, they can also follow
the same
we
thing.
Are told, even the first address of the president-elect, he talked about forgiveness. But the youths who voted, they have already told him, Mr. President, if you are going to forgive criminals, just know that you are going to rule one term. That's what those are the youths. Yes. So as the incoming president coming, he already knows that if I mess up, they are going to chase me out.
He's going to go. Yeah.
So if young people, we can just keep an eye on our countries, because these are our countries. We pay particular attention. We take national issues so serious. We are going to put things in order. These politicians, sometimes they have been thinking that we don't reason as voters. That's why we find that we vote for them, they disappear. In Zambia, you can see just the previous elections, like from the sitting government, a lot of members of parliament, they lost their cities because they are so comfortable. They never wanted to care about their citizens. And they were taught a bitter lesson. You can imagine a sitting president in an area where he was getting 50,000, getting 2,000, against the opponent getting 48,000. You have to tell yourself. But they tried using all kinds of machineries. So it's the high time that we hold our leaders accountable. When they do something, we should be able to ask them, what you are doing is wrong. Of course, they are going to come with force. Personally, I'm one of those people that the last 7 years, it was strict, it was tough. But I kept on reminding the outgoing president. And believe you me today, Mr. Lungu, he's going to appreciate what I've told him the last 7 years. Already the people that were surrounding him, telling him lies, they have already started leaving him alone. That's what happened. And I warned him several times, do the right thing for the people of Zambia, because there is life after politics. There is life after being a president. So when we invest in accountability, holding our leaders accountable, let's forget about Western countries that we want to come. We let us do our own things. And that's
at the forefront.
Yes. Whoever promises that they are going to build 10 hospitals in Nigeria, we should make sure that they do that. If they fail to do it in unison, as united people, we should vote them out. And that's I think that's the procedure now Zambia is going to take going forward.
Thank you for that. So yeah, Nzima, I'm not going to call you doctor now. So yeah, same question. How can we make things practical? To change this, because we've been talking about these things.
The first thing is to be intentional.
Hold on. And the other thing I think that I highlighted sometime is, our politicians. They are hanging on to power. They don't wanna they don't wanna relinquish this power. They don't wanna pass on the baton. But we talk about leadership, that you have to, train the people that are following you and stuff. There's no success without a successor. Some of them are now 90 years old. They are still in power. You look at the Cameroon president, or even the president in Uganda. They're even struggling to walk, but you see them in France. And some of them will be sleeping during the summits and stuff. So, how do we deal with these things? How do we make things practical in Africa? Zim?
I see. I don't know where this is from, but you was trying to walk into 10 Downing Street a few months ago. We have to
your network is your network is a bit iffy. Did you change the position?
No. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yeah, it's better now. It's better. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Then we'll...
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, we need to be intentional about these things. As psychologists like to say that we must put a lot of focus on governance issues. I sometime in the past spoke about, the mandate and the criteria that must be used to actually make sure that people are held accountable. Now, there's this tendency of people wanting to say first term, second term, and then now you are talking about people who stay longer. Now, the challenge is that we keep imposters in these positions where they have no business being in. So now, if we have a clear criteria of what is the mandate and what must be achieved, we have got timelines that by this time, such and such a thing must be achieved. If that person fails to achieve those things within the timeline that we have given, why must we keep such a person? They are obviously the wrong person to be in that position. So now we have this thing of saying, the person stays for a term or for 2 terms, but then that creates space for imposters to occupy for 10 years and mess up things, and then we get another imposter for another 10 years and we never do anything. Because we are only focusing on the jubilation that we have won an election, and then after that, the person is there, we'll see him again at another election. And also, instead of actually focusing on these governance issues and ensuring that we keep these leaders accountable, we are always on election mode. We are now campaigning. Like I can promise you, in Zambia right now, they are now focusing on winning the next term. And these ones are now regrouping to see where did we go wrong. Maybe when we come back next time, we will. So we are always on election mode, and we do little to focus on these governance structures so that we can make these leaders accountable, you see. So we always want to be the ones who are in charge. We are now no longer following the mandate from the people, but the mandate from political parties serving political interests. So that is a challenge. And also on a very simple basis for countries, let's just, loosen up, man, in terms of trade laws. You see, we've got this protocol that is in that Adiola mentioned in the comment section. That thing is very brilliant on paper. It's going to bring a lot of development, the African Continental Free Trade Area. But what are individual countries doing to make sure that this actually starts working? The laws are still terrible. We still have to go through a lot of red tape to actually trade, So if I start a business now in Zimbabwe, I cannot be a billionaire because I don't have access to the Zambian market. I don't have access to the DRC market, but we have got these things on paper. You see, the people can move across the borders without struggles. You go to Europe now, you see it's open in the Schengen area. You can go wherever, you can sell your product wherever, You can stay in France and work in Germany.
That's true. That's true.
Why do we hate each other so much? and we invest so much in keeping each other apart, yet that does not really bring anything. As a result, we end up having small pockets of development here, small pockets of development there, and then the rest of the people from countries where there are imposters, no leaders, they want to move to those small pockets, and then we have xenophobia and all of those other problems. But if we remove all those imposters and we make sure that it all expands to the rest of the continent, then we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think we need to transform our mindsets so we can live in harmony and achieve more as Africans and stuff. And yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, time is flying. Twanzim, how can we make things practical?
Yeah, I think most of the important points have been mentioned already, but what I deem very crucial at this point in time is a bottom-up system. Remember, we've been talking about systems that are in place in Africa, systems that are foreign to us, and those particular systems are the ones that are keeping these criminals, protected, even if they are, they are exploiting, the nations from which they come from. Now, by a bottom-up system, what I mean is, everyone has got a say. If you come from South Africa, if you come from Zimbabwe, if you come from Zambia, you've got a say on whatever is available right before you. We don't want a situation, well, in other spheres of academia, they call it the tragedy of the commons, where people, come with this top-down, approach to governance, and they tell the people of a certain area where there is a particular resource that we are going to take this resource because we are the statesmen and we are going to use it this way, and then they alienate, or rather they leave out the people who are supposed to benefit the most from the resource, because they actually live where the resource is. So what I'm saying by a bottom-up approach is whoever is up there has been elected by the people. So whoever is up there is a servant of the people. Now, if whoever is up there is no longer representing what we sent them to do, then they are no longer leading us. It means that they've got their own agenda. So now, what is the problem? Why can't we achieve this? Because we all know what we want. The politics of organizations and governments and societies is an old game. We now need the politics of the individual, whereby I am given the platform to air my views, and those views go straight to parliament because they matter for me as a citizen of this country, and I have the right, rather than to create a bottleneck where you elect someone who is meant to represent your views, and when they are given that, should I call it what, a duty to do that, all they do is just sit and sleep at the parliament, carrying the burdens of their citizens and not representing them the best way they should. So the politics of, or rather the leadership of bottom up, I think is the best approach, whereby any in the rural areas can even suggest something in a suggestion box, and then there's a system of some sort that makes sure that everything that has been suggested, every problem has been at least heard at the parliament level. Now the difference now, or what is making it difficult to be to be achieved, is that we've got systems in place. So my complaint about everything else, and where I see us struggling is on the systems that we have. The
Mm,
systems are blocking us from having the change that we want.
mm. Even the institutions. Okay, thank you for that. I'm just conscious about also time and stuff. I think we're gonna go straight to Adiola. We'll go back to a few things and stuff. Um, Nompumelelo Tunzi Dube. She's she highlighted in her comments that we should involve the young generation in these things and stuff and all that. And some of our leaders that mean well and stuff and all that, they've advocated for youth for a long time, and it seems like they are not being given a platform to express themselves and stuff and all that. um but we know they've got creative and innovative ideas. Even our some of our elders who think outside the box, they know that young people are gonna take Africa forward. You give them something, they will turn it into an idea, uh, an idea that will also help the community or move Africa forward. And the problems that we face now, they are more dynamic and complicated, and we are the ones that understand these things more than our elders. Yes, our elders, they've got experience and wisdom, but uh, but we have to be at the forefront. But it's not happening. They're not giving us that platform. But when you look at other countries, young people are given the chance to express themselves. When you look at a country like, I always speak about China. China, every year they produce about maybe almost 800,000 engineers, you know, who do the hard work, when it comes to transport, rail industry and stuff. And that's another thing that we need to invest in Africa, so we can have, railway across Africa, or road industries and stuff, etc. So we're not investing there. So, we need to do more on that. And then when you look at America again, even the presidents, people like, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, when he got into power, he was 36 years old. I think Obama was 46, 47. If he was in Africa, I don't know if he was gonna be a leader or not, or maybe he was gonna end up becoming a bus driver or whatever. So yes, Adiola. So what can we do? I know you're passionate about young people, because
Yeah,
young people are brilliant and stuff. So mm,
yeah. Where should I start? If we look at in the last maybe 5 years, the protests across Africa. Recently, my daughter, she works for BBC, so she's doing a documentary on Lesotho. And it was the first time I actually learned that there was a protest in Lesotho by the young people. And and it was like, this is amazing. Not only in Nigeria, we've seen it in Uganda, in Ghana, in Senegal, and in Lesotho, and of course, South Africa. So I think the what we can do is to encourage the youth to use their voice. Again, I come back to this youth bulge,
and even
and
Zambia.
with and Zambia as well. Yeah, this youth bulge. We need to get in Nigeria, for example. I believe that the constitution says from 35 you can go into politics. We need to get the young people into politics, because if you want to dismantle a structure, you are not going to do it from so far away, right? You have to be near to the system to be able to effect the change from inside and outside. So we need to encourage young people that are into politics, those that want to do training. We really need to encourage them, first of all, to go into politics, and the once they are in politics, that is giving us a leg in. The other thing
People
is
like
we also,
Sikyle.
yeah.
Mm.
The other thing is we need to start addressing the constitution. We
Hmm.
if you are going to what's the proverb now? If you are going to fight me, you will win me by fighting me for something that is very core to who I am. So if we want to address structures and system, we need to target the constitution. Because many countries, if we understand the constitution, we'll see that many countries are not even adhering to that constitution. And so we need, the young people that are lawyers, maybe constitutional lawyers. We need the Gani Fawe I don't know in other countries, those, really sharp, intelligent constitutional lawyers that is ready to take the government into to international court, relevant court. So we need to address it there as well. And the other thing I believe, again, it comes back to leadership, that accountability. The youth must use their voice.
Mm.
Somebody was sharing the story of, in the old western region in Nigeria. And I believe this is why in many of the Yorubas in Nigeria are so particular about education, because I believe Awolowo, when the region was split into three, they focused so much on education, in the
Hmm.
south, that to the extent that there was I've forgotten his name, is one of the prominent lawyer. He was sharing how he went to school because his father was afraid of being arrested, because there was a policy then that if you don't send your children to school, you'll be arrested. They are not to be going to the farm, they should be in school. And so that was what got many, children at that time into school. And we still continue that legacy. So we need to hold those in position of authorities accountable. And we should not give up on our youth. I think, the Nigerian youth policy, even the African Union youth policy, is all about sports, getting the youth into sport, because that's the extent to which they see the youth.
Mm.
They've got energy, so give them, sport, or set up all these
Let them
entrepreneurial
just run.
skills, yeah, or entrepreneurial schemes that only the people that know somebody can even get access to those schemes. So they are not working. So I think, if we can, those of us that are passionate, let's, encourage schemes, where, young people are provided the opportunities, because basically we cannot depend on the government, really. And the fourth thing I would say before I keep quiet is that the youth are using culture. I mean, look at music, African music, Afro beats and, African jazz and Afro whatever, all those music is now global. There was a day I was watching EastEnders in the UK and they were playing Oliver Twist. I was like, wow, on
Mm.
EastEnders in the UK. So the young people, they have arts and culture, and we must not neglect that. I think because that is something that, the youth are passionate about. They use their energy, they use their creativity, and we must continue to, encourage that as well.
And
So
invest in
I'm
them.
very positive. Invest in them, yeah. And
Hmm.
can I challenge those of us on this panel? How many of us are mentoring, young adults? And I don't mean one or two. Within our circle of influence, how many are we mentoring right now,
Food for
and
thought.
encouraging them to mentor others as well? So having that
Mm.
ricochet effect, we need more of this
Of
panel.
that. Mm.
Yes,
Mm.
yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Before we go, and to Zambia, because you guys did something that is more inspiring and stuff and all that. Um, I'm gonna quickly just you know go to Nzima there. Um, Yeah, yeah. I mean, they say, buildings or structures, they function because of the people that are in there. It's not about buildings. In SADC, we've got this organization. Yes, yes, it's called SADC and stuff. It has to, solve issues and problems in our region. And then there's AU, you know, it has to solve African problems and stuff. But hey, things keep going in circles and stuff. So how, what should we do to make these things, you know, become more functional? Or maybe we can, young people, do we need to come together as we are networking now? We've seen that, there are a lot of problems, and these problems are going to be resolved by us. Should we form institutions or structures that will make these other guys jump, or maybe make SADC work, or AU? Mm, what is your what is your thought,
My,
Nzima,
my
about
thoughts
this?
really is that these people that we are abusing us now, these people that we call leaders, yet they are imposters. Those
Mm,
people came into power when they were young people. You know,
mm, because they
at
went to
some
war. Yeah?
point, we had our Joyce Mjuru, who was our deputy president. When she got into government, she was about 25 years old. She was very young.
Mm.
You see, a
But
lot
in Nigeria, they're now saying
of
35. Anyway, go on, go
yeah,
on.
but the point is we must also realize, I heard Ajola talking about the youth bulge, that the youth must do something. Yes, the youth must do something. The people who are actually governing us, a lot of them got into politics when they were young people. They went
Mm,
to wars. The people that now are called African heroes are being celebrated. They were young people when they started activism. The Kaundas, the Mugabes, all of those, the Nkomos, the Mandelas, they were young people when they started, activism.
mm,
During those days, there were bigger barriers when there was still colonialism in place. There were bigger barriers for people to do things freely in terms of trying to free themselves and determining their own future. But those guys were able, through their means, to be united as African youth, come up with structures to fight their common enemy, you know. But now, as young people who are operating in independent Africa, we are failing to even have organizations that are transcontinental, where we can be together as young Africans and appreciate our struggles and speak in one voice as the youth of the continent. There is no collaboration from Zambian youth and Zimbabwean youth. There's
mm,
no collaboration from Nigerian youth and Ghanaian youth. We speak in our own silos. We don't support each other. But those guys are in power now because they're a network. They protect each other. That is why
mm,
you find that a guy will lose the election and all those his fellows will protect him because they started together as young people. We do not
mm.
have any relationship as young people of the continent. And I think
Wow.
a good start is we must have these uh, things like your House of Africa like this and other initiatives where young people can converge from across the continent and talk about these issues and
Mm,
establish a connection such that we can be intentional. When we say we want a united Africa, as someone who is in Nigeria and someone who is in Zimbabwe and Malawi, they will speak in one voice and they will make sure
mm.
that all those barriers that exist, are removed.
We'll be able to
But as
speed up
long as
things.
a person from another African country is a stranger to me,
Mm,
is a strange person. They speak funny. I laugh at their English accent because where I am, maybe mine is better. I mean, we are not going to go anywhere. We are still going to be fighting in these silos and wondering what is happening in Zambia. I just say it on Twitter and I pass, you see.
mm,
So the point is, let's have these conversations as young people and conscientize each other. I like the idea of mentorship that Ideal is talking about. It's a very good idea. You don't only have to be mentoring people from your own country, but from other countries as well.
Network.
And then
We
that
have to
way
be.
we can start to move. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have to be global, champions. Think outside the box. Then we can achieve more. Then we'll be able to unfreeze all these old behaviors that we're seeing now. Thank you for that. So yes. Yeah, something that just happened recently. The Zambian youth, they surprised us, especially in Southern Africa or maybe across Africa. We're not expecting them to, you know, do the impossible. But yes, it happened, and we're still celebrating and stuff. So before I go to Sakal, I'll quickly go to Wusiko because she's from Zambia. She's in the medical field and stuff and all that, and she wants the best for Zambia. How did you guys do it? Maybe we can learn from you guys because where I come from in Zimbabwe, I will speak about Zimbabwe. There's a lot of shenanigans. All these fake prophets or the Twabams, they're just hanging out with the so-called president or our president and stuff, and these fake celebrities on the media platforms, they are pulling a lot of too much crowd, you know but whatever they're talking about, it doesn't add value. It's just destroying our continent and stuff, you know and we want to transform the mindsets of these young people so they can go and vote in numbers like Zambians, not to be looking up to Tobam or this Pashin Java guy, you know so yes, tell us how, Busiko, how did you guys do it? Maybe Zimbabweans will learn one or two things, or other people from other areas in Africa and stuff. So yeah, over to you.
Thank you. I think, well, from what I know, the young people mobilized themselves mainly using social media. I've seen on Twitter that they were holding spaces prior to the elections that were held recently as well. So it was mainly using social media to mobilize each other and to encourage each other to vote, because I think the general population were tired of how the previous administration had been governing the country. There's an example. There's this big market in Lusaka called City Market. If you were seen wearing a red T-shirt, which represents the UPND, the now it was the opposition party, but it's the UPND. Yeah. So if you were seen wearing a red T-shirt walking through City Market, the PF cadres would attack you. And now that the PF has left, people are free. They're free to wear red. They're just free. There's a hope that people have now. So I think it was through social media mainly, and people encouraging each other to vote. So yeah.
Thank you for that. I think Mtwanzo Nzima will come in for that. How do we make sure that things are gonna happen in Zambia, because you never know, it might the new president might just do the same thing and stuff. So anyway, I'll come to you guys. Over to you, Sikal. How did you guys do it? Because you were at the forefront. Yes, you're based in Canada and stuff, but you've been moving from you know um, is it America to back to Zambia, being on the ground and stuff, and speaking to the young people and other institutions, trying to knock sense into their heads and stuff. So yes, how did you guys do it? Um, your mic is on mute.
Yeah, the Zambian case, I think this is historical, like going by our country's political history. Whatever we did, it is historical. Even just the number of people who turned out to vote, it's historic. Not even the 1991 that history that we are reading, what happened when Zambia was moving from one party state to a multi-party democracy.
Yeah,
This one
I
was
think I saw
now
90% of the map was red. I think I saw that. Yeah, go ahead, go
yes.
ahead.
So now, what did we face as Zambians? One, we were facing a brutal regime. When I talk about a brutal regime, a regime that was ready to kill, that killed a lot of our colleagues. We lost a lot of our colleagues. That's why for some of us, like even after the winning all these elections, it has just brought a lot of memories because we have lost our colleagues during the struggle. Now, we were facing a brutal regime where all key public institutions were curtailed. I would talk about the Zambia police, the intelligence, the judiciary, and the electoral commission of Zambia. I don't know how many thousands of articles that I've written where if you just you go on Google, you key in my name, you say Zambia, you are going to see a lot of starting from constitutional court lawyers.
I saw some of the articles.
Security personnel up to the electoral commission of Zambia. I wrote it several times, including to clergymen, some pastors, churches. I wrote, and also specifically to young people, where I've been appealing to young people, reminding them. Because personally, you'll be surprised that the first day when I got motivated about governance issues, I was very young, and I was in grade 5, and I've grown up with that. I was in grade 5 when I made the commitment that one day I have to defend my country no matter what happens. And because we are learning about how Zambia, during the struggle for independence, how we lost lives. For me, I took it personal that I need to do something for my country. Now, we need to mentor young.
Looks like we're losing him. Network issues. I'm not expecting that from Canada. Hey, I think we lost him. Maybe he's gonna come back.
You'll be surprised. You can't, Africa
You should
is
have
better
traveled
than
to
the
England
West.
like Mokwera.
Yes. Okay. We'll come back to him if his network is working properly. So yeah, Mtwanzi, what is your reservations? I know you guys have got reservations and stuff. This is exciting, but so what do you think? What is your thoughts about what has happened in Zambia? Because young people came in numbers, and we want the same thing in other countries, especially Zimbabwe, to go in numbers and exercise their right and be more intentional and stuff.
I think one of the things that
Okay.
would be
Yeah, you
great.
come after.
Sorry, I think one of the things that would be great would be to see this president actually put the representative of the young people, give them, a seat on seats on the key, decision table to acknowledge, the role that they've played, and for the young people not to give up that accountability, which I'm sure is going to happen anyway, not with our dear brother, there. Thanks.
Okay. Yes. Over to you, Twanzi.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe first things first, I would like to congratulate the Zambians for quite a victory and quite an milestone in what they did. But then, following that, I would like to comment about Africa in general. In Africa, we have a problem of elections ever since these, ever since these what they call revolutionary parties, took over government. We've been having, if it isn't rumors, then it's out in the open that elections have been manipulated over and over again in favor of these ruling parties. So it's a milestone to have seen Zambia become the first, country in Southern Africa to actually remove the Revolutionary Party through a democratic election. Now, what I was coming to when I was saying we have a problem of elections is that, well, the first thing I was talking about the rigging of elections and manipulation of elections by the revolutionary parties over and over again, which in this case is not going to be, something to talk about since Zambians managed to turn that around. But again, we have this issue of people in an election of voting against. So what happens in that case is that when people become, tired and frustrated by a certain party, even if they've got their own differences, they group up in order to vote against that party just to remove it. So it might not mean that. Well, I'm not saying that for the case of Zambia, but I'm saying that in most cases when people vote against, it might not mean that they were voting someone into power, but they were voting someone out of power. So it's not a case of Zambians voting Lungu out of power, and then it looks like it's a case of voting, HH into power. Then the other thing I'm worried about, especially in African politics, is the issue of the government, the state, and the party. So we have a challenge in differentiating, these terms, especially when it comes to that period between suspending the government and having the state run the nation before the next election is done, and then electing a new government into power, and then separating what the government should do from what the ruling party, or rather the party that has got the most votes, should do. So, in other words, we find a case where the state is run by the government, but the government is owned by a party. Now it means that we have a problem, because it means that the state now reports to the government, rather reports to the party, but in a clandestine manner, because you are told that this is the ruling government, the government has decided, but then you find out that the government itself is run by a party, so the government is partisan. So now the problem about that again is these governments that come into power, especially in the context of Africa, they practice punishing the opponents when they are in power instead of working with the opponents. So much that if we had a 60%, 38 and some percentage towards other parties, then it means the only ideas that are going to be taken into action are those coming from the 68%. Not so much those coming from the 38% and the other percentages who are in government as well, who are ruling, because the government is ruled by those that are elected into power. And in some cases, opposition leaders are elected into power in some states or some provinces. But then they won't have that power, because when it comes to the voting, they are vetoed in everything they would suggest. So we have a challenge, when we have that kind of a system in place. So that's why I was, talking over and over the issue of systems. The systems that are in place are not allowing us as Africans to realize the full power of our voice, because those who are representing us in the parliament, if they belong to an opposition party, then our voices won't be heard.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, we're running out of time now. In a nutshell, we're gonna go back to Sikal. So how do we ensure that HH does not, do what Mtwanzi, highlighted? We don't want a party that will start owning the government and stuff, and you know. So how do we ensure that your party does not do that? We want to hold, all these leaders accountable. We don't want them to repeat the same thing. As young people want to move forward, so we've got high hopes. We've had nice things about him. He said nice things and wisdom. So we want him to be more practical. So
Yeah,
yeah, in short
in
words,
fact,
yeah.
yes, in fact, just in a quick recap about, by the way, from 2016, I joined Amnesty International. I should be just after the 2015 presidential by-elections. I joined Amnesty International, and when I joined Amnesty International, I more of worked independently than affiliated to any political party. But of course, like as an activist, like we do partnership. It's more like it's partnership. If you are fighting a battle and you see another group of people, they believe in what you are believing in, you come together, you do the same thing. So personally, I think people, they have come on my page, and there's a weird question that I'm being asked on my page. People ask me that what if the incoming president, if he gives you a position, are you going to accept? I was asked this question, I think five times just today, more than 5 times today. So my response that I've given, I've said, I will accept under one condition, that if the president asks me to work with him and not work for him, that if the president asks me to work with him and not to work for him, what do I mean? Being an activist, I think my major goal has been to defend the people of Zambia. I'm not an individual or not a political party. And I'm not also hungry for any position. What I'm hungry for is what Zambians are going through in rural areas. I grew up in the rural areas, and that's one thing that gives me the energy. I was asked, all those questions were coming in the morning, like people on my page were asking me, where do you get the energy? Where do you get the courage? I get the courage and the energy because I grew up typical in the village, where I used to walk long distances for me just to access the community school when I started my grade 1. Now, you understand that today, when I go to those areas, I still see the same, if not the worst, that I went through. And those people, when you do statistics, you are going to find that my age mate, you are going to find that maybe we're just 2 who managed to go up to tertiary level. The rest, they couldn't. And I don't blame them, because I look at the distances, the challenges that we went through. You have seen. When it's in winter, you have got no shoes. You are just walking barefoot, So those are some of the things that I've expected the other leaders to take charge and to sort out those problems. Zambia is 50 years plus after independence. But if I was to take you to my village, you're going to find that people there, they are still sharing drinking water with animals. So personal, as an individual, I feel guilt when I see that. Now, this is why I said under one condition, if the president asks me to work with him, because if he asks me to work with him, which means we are going to work for the people of Zambia. But if he asks me to work for him, which means I'm not going to present the interests of the people of Zambia. And this is the problem. Even in the day before yesterday, it should be yesterday, I wrote an article where, if you saw it on my page, where I said, please save the Zambian police from embarrassment. I highlighted what I meant about that, where certain individuals are appointed in different positions, not to serve the interests of the people of Zambia, but to serve individuals. And that's a problem. I've had several situations. There's one a police officer who retired that I've been working with. He retired. And when he retired in Zambia, he said, I can't continue working, being commanded what to do with cadres. People doesn't even understand the role. Now, these are some of the critical things that we as young people, we are looking forward from President Aka in the HLM. We are not, and personally, just as speaking as an individual, we are watching. We want to see whatever Zambian people were promised coming to pass. We have got a lot of, there is rampant corruption. And this is why young people, they have already, I know when he gave the first speech, he said, as an individual, of course, which is entitled to, he said he is going to forgive those that he did a lot of bad things to him. But there you have to understand that there are two different things. I can forgive those who have wronged me, but there are institutions. If someone has stolen or has killed a citizen, those people have offended not me, but they have offended the country, the state, and there are institutions that we have that should deal with such individual. So we are just hoping that when Tuesday, when he's sworn in, we are going to have the cabinet and ministers are going to be dispatched to do the job. Personally, like now I've been drafting a letter which I'll be submitting, which I'm going to copy to the incoming Minister of Home Affairs, the Inspector General, including the President himself, where I've tabulated all the people that were killed under the outgoing government. And we need the fresh investigation. Thank you.
Because of time, one more question in just 1 minute. Yeah, one more question in 1 minute, so we can summarize all of us. So yeah, with this thing that has just happened in Zambia, so what do you say? What can you say, or like the advice to other neighboring countries? Like Zimbabwe. We're talking about networking and working together and stuff too, as young people, to be more intentional and make Africa great again. So
I think under 1 minute, I think the best solution that I can ever encourage other neighboring countries. I was privileged. I think 2 days ago, I was called by some youths from Angola who wanted to hear from us, like youth from Zambia, what happened and how we managed to defeat the system. And I'm sure we are going to work hand in hand as they are preparing for the elections next year. Now, my advice to neighboring countries, I want to assure you that in Africa, elections are manipulated because of the machineries, where the state have the police, the courts, the electoral process. But in Zambia, we managed to dismantle all that because we united. We spoke one voice. On the actual day of voting, we monitored the criminals in the government. We monitored, and it was more than what they expected, because where they were hiding, where they wanted to do anything, we were able to flash it on the social media. We were able to dispatch youths in large numbers to go to that particular place. And that's how we protected our vote. We united. We dismantled. This is the man that we have voted out. This is a man who abused the constitutional court, who went against the rule of law in Zambia. So we went to the courts, he made the winner. We went to the police, he made the winner. So we went to ECZ, so we told young people a few days before voting. I went live in one of my broadcasts and I said, let us face these elections, minus us counting that we have got the Electoral Commission of Zambia. But let us put all these institutions with the current government and with the people of Zambia, and we are the majority. That's our message that we relayed to the young people in Zambia. And they took the message very serious, that we were working institutions and the PF government under President Edgar Lungu. This is the Zambian people. These elections were not for the opposition UPND. They were versus the Zambian people. This is the outgoing government. And that's how we managed to win. So when citizens unite, when you speak one voice, no matter the amount of machineries, you are going to overcome. And that's how Zambians youth managed to overcome in these elections.
Thank you for that. So yes, we don't have enough time. I think we're just gonna do our own summary about the topic. What are your thoughts and stuff, and what can we do as Africans, etc. Tim Bello, are you still there? Your picture is kind of shady a little bit. I don't know if you can hear us. What is your summary with regards to this topic? The things that we've been, talking about.
Well, what we've discussed so far is actually stating the problem and possible solutions to, what we're facing on the continent. And I just want to say that I believe that the youth of Africa are the future of the continent, but they need to be able to negotiate their way into power. The way they go about it right now is not the best way. You can't wrestle power from these people just like that. And there are a lot of things that need to change, though. The kind of education that we have in Africa needs to change. A situation where you just churn out graduates year in, year out, and they are not productive. They are waiting to get jobs, not create jobs. We need to change that system of education into something that will be productive, where the youth, after coming out, they can create jobs and employ people. And again, it's not really about the question of age, though, because if we look at the present American president, is over 70. So if we're talking about age, it's not. But then what we need to do as African youth is that we need to learn to sacrifice our time, our energy, our money. Now, these leaders that are before us now, they were able to achieve the much they achieved back in the days because they looked beyond themselves. So we need to look beyond ourselves individually and look at the collective. What do we stand to gain as African, as a thriving continent? What do we stand to gain? That's the bigger picture that we should be looking at. And I tell people in Nigeria, I tell people, the youth in Nigeria, that, and I think same can be said to African youth. It doesn't matter the political party that you support. If the youth, if Africa is comprised of 60% of youth, it doesn't really matter the political party that you support. If your party or the government that you support is coming into power and they are not giving 30 to 40% of their cabinet to the youth, then that means we have collectively failed. Whether it's the opposition, whether it's the ruling party, negotiate a figure where the youth will represent 30 to 40% of the governance of your country. So leave aside politics, leave aside, partisan politics and your differences. Come together and collaborate, negotiate with these politicians so that when you get to power, you can begin to effect the changes that you want to see. You can't stay on the sideline, keep saying they rigged the election, they did it, they did that. You need to participate. You need to get involved. So those are the messages that we need to send to our youth everywhere. That we need to learn to collaborate and negotiate with these people, not fight them. Because what you are doing right now is confronting them. You're showing them that they are wrong, and they can't lead, they can't do this. Nobody likes that. We need to think like politicians. When they come to you, you let them know, yeah, I support you. But then on the election date, you support the candidate that you know will best serve the interest of the youth. So those are the kind of negotiation that we need to bring to the table. So that we need to stop fighting ourselves. We need to think like politicians do, so that we'll be able to get what we want. Then we'll be able to effect the changes that we want to see on the continent. So that's what I believe that we can do in Africa.
Oh, thank you for that. To add to that, I think I would like to, for me personally, I would say maybe something like constructive criticism, because sometimes if we beat around the bush and not call a spade, sometimes we have to be more constructive and not fight with these people, but also again create an environment where we'll be able to speak without fear, so we can resolve our problems and say, yes, here there's a problem, how do we work together and solve it, rather than pretending and booty leaking and stuff. It's not gonna take us anywhere. Yes. So Nzima, summary.
Thank you, Kaiser. I think we have all really spoken and add our, views and ideas on what is happening. I would like to extend my congratulations to Zambia and the Zambian youth for what they did. But I'm not going to celebrate yet. So I will wait until I've seen something, HH doing. I know right now HH has not appointed a cabinet. I can promise you that there are a lot of people who are waiting to be rewarded for the role they played to the success that is currently obtaining in the country. as I said at the beginning, that what differentiates between good and bad leadership is the reward. A lot now are expecting the reward. There are many who are not going to get the reward that they expect. And those people are going to start to throw the spanners. What in Zimbabwe is popularly known as jecharism or dirajecha. They will start pouring sand because they did not get rewarded. So, I mean, we should, as Africans moving forward, try to move more towards compromise and tolerance as opposed to intolerance that is actually happening in the political circles, where if it is not me who is bringing this positive change, then there should not be anything positive. And then if I can't be the one doing it, I'll have to throw in spanners and make sure that no one else does it and make them look bad, even when they are trying, make the environment not conducive. So I think we need to be more tolerant and be willing to compromise and negotiate for our development. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Busiko. Give us your summary.
Well, for me, as a person, I think these recent elections in Zambia have definitely like aroused interest in me, like an interest in the politics, an interest in my home country, and it has instilled like pride, you know. So I think it's also important to get the young people, more young people, to be interested in politics, to be interested in how the country is run, to be interested to learn and to be mentored and to use whatever opportunities might be available in order for them to get to that level. I don't know if youth parliaments are already there, but it would be a good initiative as well to set up youth parliaments and get the youth involved in that way. And also, there's a new hope that has come upon the people because of the election of HH as our new president. It's also important to understand that we can't expect a miracle to happen just overnight. It will take time to fix the damage that the
Yeah.
previous administration has done. And it's important for us to be patient with that and to offer ourselves to work with the government in, fixing our countries and solving our problems. So it's definitely inspired me. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We want to see a bit of change, at least in 100 days. And also, yes, you've done well by allowing, the media, houses to, be free and express themselves. That's a good point right there. So
Yeah.
we thank you for that. So yes, Mtwanzi, over to you. Your summary.
Okay, thanks, Kaiser. Yeah, I think my colleagues have mentioned, everything. But then maybe what I would say is that leadership is actually there. There's actually, you know, enough, people who can lead Africa out of the situation it is right now. But then I think that all that is being infringed by the systems that are in place. Uh, I've often said that if you come to a school and you are told that break time is at 10 o'clock, it means you won't eat anything, even if you desire to eat at 9 o'clock, or even if it's the best thing to eat at 9 o'clock. The rules just won't allow you to eat at 9, but until it's 10 o'clock. So we might have leaders like HH who come into power as leaders, but then maybe along the way they get infringed by the systems that are in place. And when people start to realize that systems, maybe in the first place, to be a mistake, in the first instance, they make mistakes, but they tend to learn that systems can protect them in their mistakes. Then those mistakes will no longer be mistakes the second time around. It means that they now know that I can exploit, these things because I'm protected by the system. So, what I'm saying in a nutshell is that let's hope that you know we are going to shape up the systems to suit what we want as Africans and not to protect the criminals. And then maybe my last submission would be that I'll give it to you. The best weapon that we have nowadays is social media. That is what Zambians used. That is
Mm,
what Zimbabweans have used before. That is what South Africans use. You go to Twitter, you get a lot of information about what is happening in the government.
mm,
But then it's just that it's information. No one is acting upon that. They treat it like social media news, and they treat it like fake news because perhaps again, the systems will tell you that, well, this is inadmissible to, to the court of laws. But we all know that these are the truths and they are there lying around in the Twitter streets. So perhaps the best way we can use social media is mobilizing each other to vote against what we don't want and
mm.
vote for what we want. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Over to you, Adiola. Your summary, please.
Yeah, I think it's been really an enriching conversation. And for me, one of the things I'm taking forward is that, the young people, the youth bulge in Africa are the one who is going to transform the continent.
Mm-hmm.
If Zambia has done it, there is hope for the other countries, and Nigeria definitely in 2013. And I was just wondering whether, how do we get youth across Africa to talk more together? I know
Like
there are
network, yeah.
yeah, there are initiatives, there are some African leadership centers, youth, whatever, but it's become very elitist,
Yeah.
so
Mm,
how do we give that forum, connect, so maybe this is something for House of Africa to think about,
mm,
because I think we've got um, young people in many countries, so and the leaders that have emerged are
mm.
easily identifiable, to maybe bring them together to see how, we can mobilize young people to use their voice, either through social media or through their vote,
Yeah.
because we have to continue to hold those in position of authority accountable, and
Mm,
they are fearful, which is why Nigeria has banned Twitter, but there's even banning it has not stopped, the use of Twitter. And I know many African countries, they are
mm-hmm.
probably thinking about what they can do, to bring laws that is meant to, stop the young people connecting together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my
Mm.
summary.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that summary. I think it's all about doing more of of this collaborating and discussing, and they say iron sharpens iron and stuff. And the more we do it, this thing is going to become formidable, increasing our network and stuff. And the beautiful thing is, yes, it seems as if we're swimming against the tides and as tide and stuff, but there are people out there who are wanting to invest. I think who are genuine, and I can mention one person who is based in London. I think he's a Sudanese. People like Mo Ibrahim, I believe they are more genuine. When we see more of such things, and we continue, we don't tire, you know they'll be able to give us that platform to to do more, to be more practical, as we want to be intentional and coming together, because team wins. A lot of team wins. If you do a solo thing, we're not going to achieve anything, and we're talented and stuff. Thank you for that, Adiola. um Sikal, yes, your summary. and then
Yeah, first and foremost, I just want to appreciate for being accorded this opportunity to be part of this conversation. At least I've managed to learn one or two, three things as well from other people, because we need to learn more. We need to hear from other people, which is very important. And I would suggest that we need to expand this network to make sure that, if possible, we get hold of at least one or two people from different countries across Africa, so that we can share ideas. And for us, like being a youth from Zambia, just like my colleague Busiko has already said, we are much valuable to share ideas, to share our experience. It wasn't an easy undertaking, but this is why we feel we should share what we did and what we believed in, how we approach each and every situation, so that other people, they may be able also to implement such policies or such ideas and strategies that can be able to help them to achieve something. Because at the end of the day, what we want an Africa which is self-sustainable, where we are going to stop begging from Western countries. And just to do a summary is that there's just a lot that Zambia should be able to show to the world after these elections. So far, we have seen the controlling of bus stations and markets have been curtailed. Immediately, just the new president was announced, we made sure that we phased out. So markets are free for all Zambians. Previously, if you don't belong to the ruling party, you could not operate in a market, or rather you'll be killed. So we are making sure that next, we want the Zambia policy to operate as professionals, to deal with each and every situation as professionals. And personally, being an activist, I'm going to make sure that those things they come to pass, or else we are going to be enemies with the new government, because what we just want is the best. The police, we want the courts to operate independent. The media, I've already told the media houses that, can you cover even the oppositions? Don't just come to the ruling party. Cover the oppositions. As long as someone is not insulting, they are bringing out credible ideas. Cover them, give them an audience, so that we have a wider range of ideas from the country. And by so doing, the sitting government also will know where they need to work on and stuff like that. The current the outgoing government, they are not giving that space for people to express their ideas. And that's why, as young people, we said, okay, since all the institutions have been curtailed, we had only one bullet, and that bullet was the voters card and the NRCs, and that's how we fired them. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you, beautiful people. Yes, 2 hours 16 minutes. Yeah, it was worth it. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll do more of this. Be more intentional and be more practical and stuff. And yeah, and we're going to move mountains, and we will build institutions that can make things better in Africa and stuff. Andre has just reminded us about this lounge platform, which is on, like, it's in the apps, it's in House of Africa website. It's more like I don't know, it operates like Facebook, smaller version, yes, of media platforms and stuff, where you can just log your profile, um, log in, and then create your own profile. Anything that you think it's worth it, or that people can discuss about, is worth coming together. You can create your own profile in there and post it anytime, and then we can see it, and then we bring it here, we talk about it, and then with an intention of making things more practical. So you guys, when you get time, you can just browse through House of Africa and then create your own profiles. Anything that you want us to talk about is um, Africans or young generation. Yes, we can capture it from there, and then we continue discussing empowering topics or thought provoking topics. Thank you, beautiful people. Um, I think it's time now for us to, yeah.